Alright, today's lesson is on solving percent mixture word problems. So if you had this situation where it's a pharmacist mixed some 6% saline solution with some 12% saline solution, and they obtained 30 milliliters of a 10% saline solution. We want to know how much of the 6% solution did the pharmacist use in the mixture. Sounds confusing, doesn't it?
Yes.
So when we say we're looking at a percent mixture, that means we're taking something that has a percentage of concentration. So if you're not sure what saline is, that's just pretty much salt water with some electrolytes. You know, you go to the hospital, they put the IV in there, get your blood pressure back up. That's what they're putting in you, saline. Okay. So how do we solve that? I'm going to show you a secret. It makes it real easy. Just like with the distance, rate, time problems, we made a little chart. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to kind of just make 6 lines right here. So we have 2 columns with 6 lines. This first column, we're going to call this amount. And this other column, we're going to call that percent. So you have this column with 3 lines, that's the amount, and this column with 3 lines, that's the percent. And this bottom row, that's going to be our total. This is what we want to make after mixing these two. So these 2 columns are what we mix. So what did this pharmacist mix, and what did he get as an end result? What was the total? So the pharmacist mixed these together and obtained what?
3 milliliters.
30 milliliters. So 30 milliliters, is that an amount or a percent? That's an amount. So in this column where it says amount, there's our total. Put the 30 in there. That's 30 milliliters, that's an amount. 30 milliliters of what?
10%.
10%. Here's the column with percent, and that's the total. We put the 10 in there. So 30 milliliters of 10%. And what did he mix together?
6%.
6% and 12%. So we mix those 2 together, and we ended up with 30 milliliters of 10%. Right? Right. Now we don't know how much of each one of these was used. But one thing we do know, just because we're smart, right? We're using a little bit of logic. If I mix 2 things together and I get 30 milliliters, could I have mixed 10 with 40? No, why not? Because it doesn't add up to 30. That's too much, right? So whatever 2 numbers I use here has to do what?
Equal 30.
It has to add up to 30, right?
Yes.
12 and 18.
So like 12 and 18? Or
15 and
15 and 15? Or 9 and 21? So we could guess all day long until we answer this. Or in algebra, when we don't know, what do we use?
15.
X. Which one are they asking us for?
6%.
That's where I'm going to put my X. How much of the 6%? I don't know, so I'm going to call it X. But whatever that is, when I add it to this, it has to be 30. So if I have 30, I have to subtract whatever that was. Right?
Yeah.
Which is what we were doing.
Yes.
If this was 9, then you told me 30 minus 9, which was 21. If you told me 15, then you did 30 minus 15, because that has to add up to 30.
13.
Okay. Now here's the hard part. Setting this up, that's easy. Now we have to say, okay, when we take a percent of something, we multiply it. So you multiply it. So 6% of whatever that is, how do you find it? You multiply it. So we're going to start building our equation. So 6 times x, 6x. And we're mixing these together. So if I mix it, I add it, right? And how do we find a percent of something? We multiply
Divide.
30 minus x. And it's the total, so what symbol tells us this is the answer?
Equals.
Equals. And how do we find a percent of something? Multiply. Okay, so after you fill in your table, to find the percent you multiply, so 6 times x, 6x. 12% times this number, 12% times that number, gives us the total, which was 30 at 10%. 30 at 10%. Now we just solved it. And that's it. Very easy. You know how to solve this. Go ahead, work on that. Check with your partner, make sure you agree.
X equals 10.
X equals 10. So how much? We needed. How many got 10? Alright, good. So, again, make sure you read the question, set up your little table, and then put the information from the question into the table. Then we multiply this row, add it to this row, and we're going to multiply those, and set that equal to the total. So we multiply that last row, and that's how we got this equation. And you just solve the equation, and make sure what you got as your solution answers the question.